Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you...
Welcome back to another episode of the Football Experience. Today we're joined with Harry Neville. How you doing?
I'm all good, mate. How are you?
All right. So we're only going to do 2 Premier League predictions this week. So the first one's Burnley versus Newcastle. Harry, what have you got down for the score for this one?
I've got a 1-0 Burnley for this one. I think Burnley, they're hard to beat, and I think Newcastle are just quite defensively fragile at the moment. So they're probably, my money's on them.
But I wasn't too sure because of the Spurs game.
Yeah, they played well in that one.
Yeah, they played well in that game.
Yeah.
So that's why I've actually got 1-0 for Newcastle for this.
I've gone 1-1.
Oh,
So we're all around the
There you
same
go.
area. Newcastle have only won one of their last 10 away games, though.
yeah, that's true.
So it'll be a tough one.
It's just for me, it's a tough place to go, Burnley, because they're not that prone to many mistakes. And I think you end up. I think they're just very hard to break down.
They just have that system.
It'd be a good one, because I'd imagine it'd be one that Newcastle would hope, would have as hopefully getting some points from. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one.
I think Burnley are always a team that have like a system and they just stick to it every game. And
Yeah, definitely.
they get what points they can.
Have you
Yeah.
been surprised at how Burnley aren't like higher in this table at the moment?
I think for me, I think they've brought us some really fantastic results, but they're just lacking that extra bit of, I think the top teams, well, the teams that are slightly above them when in those positions that you're talking about, I think they're just they're lacking the odd play. I think Everton, I think West Ham, I know this is a fair way up the table, but they've all got players that can change a game and that have changed the game for them. Whereas I don't know if, I think as you said, Louis, that they've got a very strong, solid structure, but I don't think they've got many individuals that can just flick a game on its head. And I think there are a couple of those kind of players just off of those top, those higher spots. Game, I think if you look at Wolves, for example, will have Jimenez, Ruben Neves. The wingers are decent. They've got players that can bang a set piece or make a run for it, hit teams on the counter attack that just get them out of sticky situations, I suppose. Whereas I don't feel like Burnley have got that so much because it's not really the way they play. They're more a stronger unit. But what about you guys?
Yeah, I think, I agree completely. I think the only person they've really got that you could argue on his day is McNeil.
Yeah.
But apart from him, I don't think anyone's anything more than really a systematic player.
Yeah, was his name Vidra or something? He has good games, but he does go missing a lot as well.
Yeah, definitely. No, I can see that. 100%.
Okay, we'll move on to Brighton Everton then. I've gone 2-0 for this one. Brighton struggling down the table. They're in that relegation battle. And Everton sort of on the flip side, battling for Europe at this point. I've gone with 2-0 Everton. I think they'll have too much for Brighton this week.
Yeah, I can see that. I think there's a golf in, say class, there's a golf in experience. You've got players that are, Brighton very much come up from the lower leagues, the likes of Dan Burn, Adam Webster, and they're good for that league. Neil Maupay has caused a lot of teams a lot of problems, and but I think Everton is just a different level, isn't it? You've got players like Rodriguez. Everyone goes to Rodriguez, who played in World Cup, so played in Champions Leagues. Luca Digne, Yuri Mina, these players are playing international football regularly and in big tournaments. And I think, those kinds of experiences are so important. When it gets to the business end of the season and you have to keep winning games because you're used to playing under that increased intensity and that increased pressure. And I just think Everton, I've got Everton down as a 1-0 because I think Brighton will probably be quite hard to break down. But it sounds a bit boring, my 2-1-0s, but I think what happens, when you get towards the end of the season, teams just sort of seize up at the back, lower down the table. If we can get a point's better than nothing. And it's where it all depends for me. It all depends on what Brighton see they can get out of the game. Because whether Graham Potter comes out and says it before the game, he will have either in his head, we just want to get a point here, or actually we could nick a win. And if they think they can nick a win, I'd say they could definitely score, but it all depends on, obviously, as we say, how they set up, really. But what do you reckon, Matt?
Yeah, I think Everton will win that game, but I think it will be a very close game. Like I can't imagine. I've gone 1-0 as well because I can't imagine a lot of goals going in for this game. But do you think Everton could push into that top 6? Because they only 2 points behind Spurs. So do you think they could? Or
I think Everton. There's a funny kind of with Everton, with Spurs. They've got a mistake in them both, and I think it comes down to we talk about it. It's a word that's bandied about a lot with Spurs, but it comes down to really who's got the bottle. Who's really kind of got the focus and the concentration. Because I think a lot of people think there's a lot of mistakes at Spurs or in the Spurs team for various reasons, and I think there probably has been results. Everton started the season incredibly strongly. But they've had a few slip-ups along the way, and I think so. You look at that and you think, well, it just comes down to who concentrates, who can keep their focus. And actually, I think, within that, I think you've also got who keeps their players fit, because I think if you've got fitter players and they're more ready and they're more fresh, they're more focused. I think when you're fatigued, when you're tired, that's where your mistakes creep in, and defensively and positionally, you're not as sound. It depends. I think in that respect, I'd probably back Everton, because I think that Harry Kane is a massive, massive player for Spurs, and even if he gets they need to keep him in the team. So even if he gets a hamstring strain for a week, he'll miss a big game because it's the running. We're looking towards the running now, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, and they are a game behind as well. So if they win against Brighton, they're already in the top 6. So.
Oh, really? Obviously, I think, because Everton have been struggling purely a lot down to Calvert-Lewin having a little bit of a dry patch. He did score a couple of weeks ago, but, overall in the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks, he's been a little bit quiet in front of goal, and I think that's been quite a big miss for them. Obviously, he came back from injury as well halfway through that. Richarlison he sort of took over for a little bit, but I think they're struggling just due to him not being quite on the form he was at the start of the season.
Yeah. He started. I think it's different. It's difficult, isn't it? He started the season on fire, like he was brilliant. But I think what I do like about Calvert-Lewin is that you don't just get a goal scorer, you still get a grafter. You still get hard work, you still get a physical presence up front, you still get someone that will cause a bit of a problem for defenders. And I think there's players like that Chris Wood doesn't get the golden boot, but he causes problems. And I think Calvert-Lewin's a perfect example of just always being useful to a team. So I think they're set. They're definitely in a good position. It's just, as I say, it's whether they can see that out really. But I reckon I'll back them.
So let's go on to the Champions League now. So Real Madrid played Liverpool. It was 3-1 to Real Madrid. What did you guys think of the game? Do you think it was deserved win, or because there was a few dodgy?
It was a deserved win, but
yeah,
I mean, I think Liverpool made their own downfall in this game. Really, I think there was poor defending for every single goal. You see on the first one there was it was a good ball from Kroos over the top, but they sort of let Vinicius Jr. just take it in his stride, and nothing stopped him before he got to the keeper. Second one, obviously, Trent, his interesting header back. And then third one, you see Wijnaldum in the middle, just sort of standing there waiting for something to happen. I don't think it was good enough for them, but there was a little, on the second one, there was a potential foul leading up to the goal.
Was it Mane who got?
Yeah, Mane was sort of running through, and Vasquez. I mean, you could probably argue either way still, but he just sort of shoved him to the ground. It looked like they got away with it, one at the other end, and they scored.
Yeah, because there's also the Benzema penalty shot as well. For me, that wasn't a penalty.
I think he was lucky to get away with it, personally.
Yeah.
I think he sort of just ran across him a little bit, and it was a dangerous move if that's what he was trying to do.
I think when you get across a defender, that's what the top strikers do, and they put themselves in positions where you have to ask the question. And when you look at Ronaldo a few years back, I think it was actually against Juventus for Madrid. And Buffon, obviously lost it and got sent off. He lost his call and he was fuming. It's what the top strikers do. They just put themselves in positions where, people have to, all of a sudden, what wasn't a dangerous situation, the defender's thinking, he's right in front of he's right where I need to be. How do I deal with this? And half the time it's very difficult to do that. It was at Madrid, wasn't it? Oh, that's just slipped my mind. It was at Madrid.
It was at their training ground, I think.
But as long as it was at Madrid,
it was their home. Sorry,
yeah. That goal for Liverpool could be a big goal because it keeps, once you score an away goal, Barcelona PSG is an example that I'll always go about, one of the best games I've ever seen. Once you've got an away goal, or once you've got a glimmer of hope, even. The Champions League is one of the best. That's one of the best things about being a football fan, watching the Champions League, because, Liverpool, Barcelona, a couple of years ago, I think it was now, Spurs, Ajax, perfect examples of how you can flip a tie on its head with the away goals rule. And so, there was probably a few things Liverpool won't have been happy with. But I think by all means, the tie's not over yet. And so we'll have to see. We'll have to see how Liverpool. It'll be how Liverpool. I think Liverpool will come out at Anfield and really kind of go for it wherever it ends up being played at the moment.
Yeah.
So they only needed 2-0 win to go through. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Just 2-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very possible. Like they look at it. Well, when they're sort of talking about it, they say it's 3-1 down. It looks bad, but there's a not easy way back, but it's not a bad.
No, definitely. It's how Champions League ties go, isn't it? You get a goal in that first sort of 20 minutes, and then you give Madrid something to think about. Do we defend what we've got? Do we push to score an away goal that would put it kind of a little bit further out of reach and risk conceding a goal? It's all it takes is an early goal, and then tie's blown wide open again.
Do you think that Liverpool would be able to keep a clean sheet against that Real Madrid side?
I think they're going to need a lot of.
Yeah.
They're going to need a lot of work between now and then.
Yeah.
If they're going to do it, just switching on a bit more, Ethan. Maybe it was just yesterday they just weren't as switched on, because some of those defenders have had. I mean, every one of those defenders has had a better game than that. Trent's had loads better than that. Even Nat Phillips a few weeks ago, people were saying, he's performing well. He might, he might actually have a chance of staying around here.
Yeah.
But after yesterday, it's looking again like it was before. But they just need one good game defensively, one solid game, and everything could change around.
You've got to. I mean, I understand obviously not everyone's Liverpool fans, but you've got to feel for Liverpool in the sense that to actually put together a solid back four with all the changes they've, and I don't just mean it for Liverpool. If you're not a Liverpool fan, then there'll be teams around the country that have gone through similar things. But when you tend to either have a back four or back three that is constantly changing, that's hard to kind of nail down you look at the Man United team that used to win the leagues. Ferdinand and Vidic didn't change for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Once you've got a centre-half pairing, if you can, like Fergie did, you stick with them. So it's hard. I think there's a lot to be said for consistency, in creating a good defensive shape. But
definitely been unlucky with that.
I reckon if they defend from the front, because they're good going forward, I reckon if they try and play in their attacking, in Madrid's half, they could do it. Definitely could do it.
So let's move on to City versus Dortmund. So that was a 2-1 in the end to City. There was a few debatable things in the media after with the Haaland and the linesman.
I've got to be honest with this game. First of all, one of my biggest bugbears in football is if it wasn't a penalty or a free kick, it was a dive. And if it's a dive, it's simulation. And if it's simulation, it's yellow card. You watch that. That back, that penalty, and is it Rodri? I think. I might have got that wrong, but
no, it's Rodri.
Yeah.
Rodri. It's a dive. It is just plain and simple a dive, and we always end up probably don't go more than 3 or 4 weeks without talking about simulation in football, and we talk about. Funny enough, obviously Rodri hardly ever gets mentioned, but we talk about common players. I mean, Zaha gets suggested, Grealish gets suggested, and I'm not saying they do or they don't. I think every player probably has once or twice, but I think you're not going to stamp it out until you. To me, it's as simple as if it's not a foul, then unless they've obviously tripped over, it's a dive. There's no one around Rodri, and he's watched that on the VAR. And I think that it's one of my sort of pet peeves about the game at the moment is that we get wrapped up in all of the other kind of officiating with VAR and what that all looks like and how it works, and we forget to look at actually let's just get cheating out. Like let's just top it out.
Because he went down holding his head, didn't he? Or was it? Yeah.
I mean, that's another example. That's a head injury. Well, then you could argue if you've gone down holding your head and you've injured your head, you should really be seeing a doctor. You should probably be going off.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I mean, it becomes a different kind of issue. I thought Dortmund were going to. I thought Bellingham was fantastic. I'm a really big Bellingham fan.
What did you think about the yellow card for the foul on the keeper?
That for me was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
I think, fair enough, you can make the wrong decision, but they brought VAR in so they could make the right decisions. Let the goal go in, then check it back, and you're all good. Now he's made a mistake because he decided to blow the whistle too early, and he couldn't bring anything back, even if he wanted to.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I couldn't believe it when I saw that.
It just seems to be classic, like how the keeper always gets the advantage.
Definitely, I think.
Yeah. If it was the other way around, I feel like it wouldn't have been a foul. It was the keeper. Yeah.
Right. He'd have got he'd have been trying to kick the. Yeah, no, definitely would have been intentional.
I can't understand
No,
that
I
sort of
think,
decision happening. But
and when especially when it's potentially such a big goal, you've got to look at it, and if you've got to look at it again, and you've got to look at it again and again, it's worth the time.
yeah,
Because it's such a big decision to make. It's not just a random free kick on the halfway line; it's a goal.
that's why I think it was such a bad thing from the on-field ref. He's called it so early that they don't even have the choice of going back there. Like that's not really good enough.
No, definitely.
Apart from that in the game, they put a good move together between Royce and Haaland. To get them back into it.
It was nice to see Foden score as well, just from an England point of view.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Foden and Bellingham. I think it's positive to do.
Yeah.
The next however long, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Talking about the away goals with Liverpool as well, Dortmund have one going into the second leg.
I think Dortmund in quite a good position for the second leg.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know what Sancho's injury is like, but I have no idea how long it is. But if he was back for the second one, then they'd probably look like the favourites by then with that scoreline.
Yeah.
The PSG versus Bayern is the next one. Yeah, the Mbappe goal, the first one with the Neuer.
Yeah, well, it wasn't great. It was just a powerful shot, and he didn't react quick enough.
No, I think they're two very big teams, aren't they? And it surprised me because I thought it would go the other way. I thought they'd both be quite cagey, because they're both aware of what each other can do. But I really enjoyed it as a neutral. I thought it was a really good game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, last season's final coming back in the quarters.
Yeah.
After that, obviously, they got the second with a good ball in from Neymar. I'm not quite sure what the defence were doing, but Marquinhos ends up making it 2-1, and then Choupo-Moting comes back from the ex-PSG striker.
Yes,
he scored a really good header to get them back in the game.
Definitely.
Choupo-Moting is just
without Lewandowski, they've got their backup.
No, I mean, I think the thing is for me, Bayern they've just got some brilliant players and experience. Thomas Muller's just, I mean, what's that? That's 2 Champions Leagues and a World Cup and possibly a Euros. I'm not sure if they've won the Euros, but I think they're just winners in that team. A lot of them they've won things before, and Kingsley Coman's won a ridiculous amount for his age, and so I think they're always going to be in with a shout in the return leg. I mean, it's not it's only one goal, one away goal, but I think they're always going to be in with a shout, and I just would never bet against them, not with players like Thomas Muller who know how to score under pressure.
I think because Lewandowski has ruled himself out for the second leg as well, which isn't good for Bayern. But like you said, they do have talent that can still take this team down. I think they were actually unfortunate in this game that Keylor Navas was quite incredible.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I thought Navas had a really good game. Some of the saves he made. Yeah,
I mean, he let 2 goals in, which makes it sound difficult to say how good he was. But I don't think either of they were both headers into the corner. Like, there was nothing he could do about the 2 goals, and apart from that, he really kept their lead.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Mbappe also had a really good game as well.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he's just one of the best, isn't he?
Yeah.
Third goal was very good.
He's just a different class.
Do you think he'll stay at PSG, Mbappe?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised because I don't know who can afford it. Possibly Man City, but apart from that, I don't know.
Yeah, True.
The Porto versus Chelsea's next one. What did you, as a Chelsea fan, what did you think of the result, Louis?
It was a good result. 2 goals away from home. It's a lovely way to go into a second leg. We didn't even look that good for most of the game, but at the end of the day, the 2 important moments that came up, the 2 big chances we took, and they were 2 good goals as well.
Chilwell goals.
Yeah, obviously that was a mistake from the defender, but then when he got it, he was really cool with how he put it in. He just calmly ran around the keeper. For a left back, you don't necessarily expect that. But obviously for the other one as well, Jorginho's ball into Mount. Mount's kind of made that little turn his signature move or whatever. But and then the commentators were saying he should have saved it, but he put it far post, made it difficult for him, and
yeah, definitely.
The only thing about the second leg is they've got apparently 2 players are coming back that score 40% of their goals.
Oh, really?
So, they've got good players coming back, but I think we were fairly solid defensively. They didn't have too many actual dangerous chances.
Yeah. No, you were good.
Mendy, I thought he had a decent game as well.
Yeah, he's
very solid, isn't he?
He's there when he needs to be, and there's a couple where they looked a bit dangerous. Like I think there was Diaz, I think, put on it looked like it was going bottom corner, but just went wide. He seemed to be there ready for all of these bottom corner shots if he needed to be, which is it's nice, especially after having sort of 2 years of Kepa, just to have someone back there that I feel slightly confident with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Because how much did you spend on Mendy? It wasn't a ridiculous amount, was it?
No, I think it was 20 million.
Okay.
Just do that instead of spending 70 odd on Kepa.
Yeah, that's the funny thing.
It was a good purchase.
By that point, if we got a good keeper again for another 70 million, it would have been worth it. So. But,
yeah.
No, it's turned out all right for now. So.
Yeah, definitely. So for the Champions League Player of the Week, I've put down Mbappe personally. What have you guys got?
I'm just finding it now. I put down a tie between Bellingham and Mount, just because I felt that Bellingham was brilliant against Man City. And what struck me with Bellingham was that I think a lot of people felt the same way, and that doesn't always happen when you lose a game, that you come out of that game and think, flipping it, that lad that was on the losing team was brilliant. I think it takes a fairly decent performance to do that. And then I think it was between him and Mason Mount for me. I thought Mount was brilliant against Porto, and I think he has been in really good form the last few weeks.
I was surprised with Bellingham because I hadn't, when he played the bit of time he did for England, I didn't see too much in that.
Yeah, but then I think it's so in this country. I think unless you seek out, watching Dortmund's games, I think it's so easy to miss. We don't really know unless you watch Dortmund week in, week out. You don't see Sancho, you don't see Bellingham. You have to sort of kind of make the effort, if you know what I mean. You don't just see highlights of them on Match of the Day kind of thing. But I thought they were very good.
Yeah, I was deciding between a few people. I sort of wrote honourable mentions down. I've got Mbappe there, Mount, and Vinicius Junior. I thought he was really good against Liverpool. And the one that I went for is Keylor Navas. I think he really kept them in the game. And usually I give it to an outfield player, but I think he was exceptional in that game. Yeah,
definitely.
There's quite a few shouts this week, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. Navas is. I mean, he's so underrated. He won 3 Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
At Madrid, so got to give him some respect.
He's kind of unlucky as well because at Real Madrid, he was doing well and then he got replaced. So
yeah, Yeah, I think that was really necessary, to be honest.
I would argue he's probably better than Courtois.
Yeah,
as well.
I see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Courtois' age just sort of made them put him ahead at that point.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
no,
I agree.
What's the next one?
Everton v Crystal Palace, the 1-1 draw.
Good result for Palace.
I guess this could link. Yeah, I was to say this could link into Everton. If they could get into that top, 6, if they're drawing to teams like Crystal Palace, who are a good team, but do you think those are the type of games that they should really be winning?
They had some good chances in that game,
especially at home.
True.
I think really you expect them to not really be dropping too many points. Hopefully, from their point of view, hopefully to finish in the top 6. Which I think, there you go. They're just a couple of points they didn't need to drop.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was Batshuayi scored the goal for Palace, didn't he?
Yeah, no, they haven't played him at all, and it seemed to just probably be their best natural finisher. Still. Yeah, I know that's one goal, but
I can see that.
He seems to. I think they've probably been missing that. With Benteke had a good, purple patch, but apart from that, I don't.
Yeah, he's worth a try, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was James Rodriguez for the goal for Everton, right? It's James, right? I can't remember.
I was trying to look at sort of XG stats for these games when I was sort of researching them, and James has this 2 XG and he's got 6 goals this season.
Really?
It's just weird because everyone else on their team is sort of off by quite a way.
Yeah,
and he's just triple this.
He's good, and he was a good signing for them, I think. And I think it was an indication when they signed it was an indication of where they wanted to go under Ancelotti. I think that's one of those signings. That for me was almost a little bit like when Arsenal signed Ozil. You sort of think, you obviously mean business then in that case. And he's been good, I think.
Yeah, James has been a good signing for them.
Yeah, he's struggled at times, but he's got that bit of that extra level of talent that a lot of other players don't have, and he can just come out with a goal like that.
Brilliant.
Exactly,
yeah,
definitely, yeah. So let's go on to Wolves v West Ham. That was a 3-2 to West Ham there. Lingard scored a really good goal at the start.
He just ran the pitch, didn't he, from his own half, and
Lingard he's an incredible form, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better play to David Moyes, whatever they've said to him.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, a lot of the West Ham players seem to be, not overperforming, I guess, but it's good though. It shows that he's clearly doing something right when you've got, people like Souček and they were playing in whatever league it's called, and they came in and probably didn't expect much of them, and they're really, really performing well.
Yeah,
there's a lot, done it about recruitment. Recruiting in the right ways, and can you do you have to just keep throwing money at things? I mean, Soufal was 5 million, and he's been solid as anything.
Yeah.
Souček is obviously the one that everyone goes to, and rightly so. But I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. Obviously, there might be one or two, but I don't know many that have been a better loan deal than Lingard has for West Ham at the moment.
Yeah,
he's been fantastic. He's worked out so well, and they're just, there is a little bit of, not defensive frailty, but again, we talked about this concentration. They went 3-0 up against Wolves, 3-2. They went 3-0 up against Arsenal, they ended 3-3, and there's not many teams. If they got 3-0 next week, there is a little bit of you that thinks, Is it going to stay 3-0?
Yeah.
You know, are we going to sit on this really successfully, or I don't know whether that. I don't know. I watched the Arsenal game and I think they sat off a little bit. I don't really know whether that kind of was the case at Wolves, but I think that they've just got to sort out that, because if they do, if they can keep that concentration, I really can't see why they can't finish top 6.
They've got the talent to do it. I mean, you see, obviously Lingard, and then even people like Jared Bowen, who has
He's really
off
good
games,
goal in
but
that game as well. Yeah,
you know,
Definitely.
he's looked quality since he's come in for them, and you know, if they've got the talent to get top 6, and you know, currently they're even fighting for top 4 at the moment. And if they keep up their form, try and sort that out, like you said, then genuinely they'll be a big challenger for it.
He was at Hull before, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And then for Wolves, obviously, Traore does his own run. Not quite the same, but it was a good cross in, and then Tendonker's very good header, to be fair. Just to sort of give them a little bit of a chance. Second one was Fabio Silva. Also, you know, he struggled for goals. He's a young player still. I forget how young he is. But
yeah, it's easy to do that when they made him a marquee signing.
Yeah.
You don't sort of think of him as that age.
Yeah, it was 35 million, and he was 17 at the time, I think.
Yeah.
Which is
definitely.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they did well to get back into the game, but it was, you know, a bit of a too little, too late.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's been kind of a weird season for Wolves, really. Because really, when you think of Wolves in the last few years, you think of like the top, finishing at least near the top 8.
I think Jimenez is just such a massive loss for them.
Yeah, definitely. They need Jimenez to come back.
Yeah, because they're 14th at the moment. So it's not like they're at least going to comfortably stay up, I guess.
It's just whether that's really their expectations for where they're at.
Maybe just reset, and then next season, like hopefully Jimenez and that will be back. So maybe they could push back into the positions they were before.
Yeah, definitely.
But they've got a lot more teams challenging them nowadays. If they sort of keep up their form into next season, you know, West Ham weren't around at that sort of spot last season.
Yeah,
teams like Everton as well. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, if they could get Lingard as well, because West Ham without Lingard, I'm not sure really if they would be able to get into the top, 6 or so.
I think it looks like they will be able to get him, but I think United are really going to use this to try and get Rice. They really want him, and West Ham really want Lingard, so they'll probably try and just use it to their advantage and find some deal out of it.
Definitely. Make some sort of deal.
So the next game is Juve versus Napoli. This isn't. I don't normally watch the Italian league, but I thought because it's kind of a big game, I guess I'll throw it in there. So it was Gattuso versus Pirlo as well.
Yeah, it's definitely. Obviously, Gattuso's got a little bit more experience on the touchline, and I mean it's not quite, from what I'm aware of, it's not quite worked out for Pirlo the way that obviously I think they'd have hoped. But again, it's a massive job. It's a massive job in your first season.
Yeah, because he was managing. Was it the under 18s or something for like 2 weeks, wasn't it? And then he got pushed into the first team job.
It's just a big name. What it does.
Yeah, I think it's a massive job, and so I think for me it is a big game, but I think it's all part of a learning curve. If they're going to stick with Pirlo for the next few years, I think it's going to be kind of just ride it out and just let this season go how it goes. Let the players learn him and him learn the players, and just kind of give him a bit of time, really. Because if you're going to, like you say, if you're going to push him into that job, it's massive. Don't really get much bigger than that for your first job. So I think just let him kind of almost, sort of settle in that role, and he's managing some of the biggest players in the world.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think it was different. It was different with Lampard at Chelsea because he was sort of bringing through. He's bringing through players like Mason Mount, Tomori, Reece James. That kind of stereotypically you'd assume are not the bigger egos, because as you say, Mount was at Derby and Tomori was at Brighton, I think, or on loan somewhere in the Championship.
Mm.
And Reece James had been at Wigan at one stage. They're not quite the superstar level of players like Dybala and Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
So they're big people to be managing in your first season. So I think it is a big game, but I think it's not. You're not going to take so much from it, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Maybe more on Gattuso's side, because as you say, he's been around as a manager for a few more years. But I think if Napoli end up getting the win over Juve, then I think you just kind of accept it a little bit and just think, it's one of those. It's that first season.
Yeah, because Juve ended up winning 2-1 out of that one. There's a few like the penalty decision like that. It wasn't a penalty. It was just a small little nudge. But I thought Ronaldo had a good game in that as well. Like you kind of expect.
He had that easy header though at the start.
That's what I did think that at the start. Like, I don't know how he didn't get that one in.
You could see though he knew that he should have scored it. His reaction shows it all, and he knows his ability, and he knows that he should have scored it. But another positive thing, Dybala, I believe he's been out for a while. Again, like Matt, I don't watch it, but coming back, with a good return goal and a win against Napoli is not a bad one for him.
It was a nice finish
it's
as
not
well.
a bad player to have back from injury, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but with a team like Juve, you're missing out with a player like Dybala, and it's kind of crazy to think like without Dybala, you've still got a really good team. So when he comes in as well,
you're only making it better.
Yeah.
You're only making a good team even better. But
yeah, so let's go on to Wigan v Pompey. So that was a 1-0 win to Pompey in the end.
That's what anyone that's listening has been waiting for, isn't it? Really,
It's the big game.
It's a big game. I think we were good. It was one of those where you kind of you're working away and trying to break them down, and you almost get to a point. Is it gonna be a hard day, or are they gonna kind of scrape a point out of this? But I think on the notes here we talk about the Cowleys coming in and changing the season for us a little bit. I think it's just a bit of fresh air. Our first game under the Cowleys was Ipswich, and we went 1-0 down and we won 2-1. And I believe that was the first time we'd won a game from 1-0 down since Easter 2 years ago. And I mean, that just instills, when you're in those 0-0s and nothing's going for you, or you're in a 1-1 or those kinds of things, it just instills a bit more confidence. And I think there's just a little bit of, it's like anything when you get a new manager in, there's just a bit of a fresh feel around the way we play and the way that we're performing. But it's good timing to be winning these games. I mean, they've come in and we won 4 out of 4, so you can't really ask much more than that.
It's quite a nice goal as well you scored.
I think I'm a little bit biased. I haven't been exposed to it for the last few years, but I think the League 2 to the Championship are some of the best leagues to watch, because not necessarily for the aesthetics, especially in the lower leagues, but you get to the end of the season, you've got like 10 teams that can still get in the playoffs or still get relegated. Like we won League Two in the last half an hour of the season. It was absolutely ridiculous. You know, like, and I think, you know, we talked there about where do you think we'll finish. The beauty of it is I haven't got a clue. We could still probably finish 10th, and we could, I think mathematically we could still finish second. You know, and I think so. I think the way we're going, we'll definitely get the playoffs. Being in the playoffs under a new manager would be interesting, because I think we've just kind of struggled in the playoffs the last few years. You know, especially last year, we were winning both games and still lost, which is obviously, as a fan, is tough to take. So, you know, yeah, I think we'll finish. We'll definitely finish in the playoffs, is my prediction. But obviously, it's just about having that kind of bottle to go one step further, really. And hopefully they'll have fans in by that point.
Yeah.
So, and that would be absolutely insane. So,
yeah, because they've said that they're going to have fans for the Euros in England. So.
Yeah, fans for the Euros. Fans for the Carabao Cup?
Yeah, I think so. It's not too many, but
it's only if you're in London, right? Isn't it?
I think it's something like that.
It's the 80 quid tickets, I think.
You know what? League One playoff, I'd pay it. You know, you're watching £200 worth of football minimum. You pay those prices. But I think that hopefully, because I can't remember the dates of the playoffs, but the playoffs will be quite a few weeks. I think the playoffs are quite a few weeks after the test events.
Okay.
So you'd hope that, you know, because obviously the government, don't know, they talk about 2 weeks after, or 2 or 3 weeks after everything else, to see what effect they've had and further down the line. So hopefully, because is it 20,000 for the Euros?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's a few, you know, it's a few, and if we could draw a smaller team in the playoff final, if we get through, you know, you'd hope that the majority of an allocation ends up kind of come up, because I think the trophy, I can't bring myself to call it the Papa John's, the Checker Trade Trophy. I can't bring myself to say that. We would have taken, if you'd have had fans in, we would have, I think it was about 50,000 or 40,000 Pompey fans, 3,000 Salford fans. So you kind of just wonder, if we can have fans in, if the allocation can go more in our way and back down Wembley way again. But you guys are you in the semi-final?
Yeah. Against United, yeah.
Leicester.
You've got Leicester, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
either Leicester United.
That, isn't it? Is it 4,000?
I think it's something really small, yeah.
I wonder if it's based on the sections. So if you've got like the lowest tier of behind each goal, then the fans don't even need to go near each other outside the stadium. You can come to completely different. I don't know why. I mean, you know, 90,000 seats, so you'd imagine that you could get at least 20,000 in my opinion. Yeah. But obviously I'm not risk assessing it. So, but I mean, it's just good to have anyone in.